Hi, this is Debbie and welcome back to Cheyenne Life. And we are out in the garden and it is getting very dark. We are past, I think we're probably closer to 9 o'clock at this point in the evening. And I did have to harvest one of my broccoli today because it is starting to bolt. And I do have a couple of more broccoli that are left. Don't know if you can see the head there, it's kind of dark. We've got another one in there and another one in here, but it's having to do it because it's so hot right now. We've got in the upper 80s to lower 90s every day, but I don't know if a lot of people know this, but in Wyoming, because we are such high elevation, like even in Cheyenne, we're over 6,000 feet elevation. So when the sun is shining, it is a very harsh sun in this area. So it can be, even though it's not extremely hot in temperatures and the humidity is low, the sun is just bearing down so hard that it causes it to just dry out everything so quickly and cause it to get really hot on the surface. So then it causes things to bolt, like lettuce and things like that. And I'm having some of my lettuce, which you probably can't see very well because it is getting dark, is trying to bolt over in this section. This is normally where my green onions are, at the back of the wall, at the front of the wall of the house. And so a lot of them are trying to either die off or bolt or all kinds of things. So anyway, everything is still looking good on this end as far as sunflowers, and we did harvest some beans today, which I'm going to be showing in a different video, and some things for a salad. But anyway, it is getting very dark out here, but I wanted to show you the garden at night because we do have solar lights in places, which are really pretty when the lights come on. And just some cuteness all around the garden, just with the solar lights and things. And these particular solar lights that I got this season are a lot brighter than in typical solar lights that I've had in the past. I still have some of those solar lights around, but it seems like they do break very quickly. So I don't really think that they're great quality, in my opinion, for solar lights. As well as I just don't think that they last very long, because it seems like that they break pretty quickly. So anyway, this is over where I have the other beans and the other sunflower, the larger sunflower, and the beans running up this trellis. But I love the glow of the light in the evening coming from the house as well as from the solar lights. You can see these solar lights here are pretty bright. I think they're over 100 lumens, even though they're just small. But they also are motion sensitive, so they come on brighter when you pass in front of them. So they kind of illuminate the garden a little bit. And this is where the potatoes are, as well as the corn and the watermelon and the radishes. At this point, we're towards the latter part of July, and I'm not really sure we're going to get any watermelons again this year because it's just being so late. And the vines look beautiful this year. This is the first year that I've had such large, beautiful vines and large leaves, but I'm seeing a whole lot of blooming, but I'm not seeing any melons set. And I was telling my daughter a little bit earlier, this is going to be the last season that I try to grow melons here. If I grow them at all, it's going to be in pots from now on, because all of my cantaloupes and other melons and my cucumbers are all doing far better in the containers rather than they are out in the garden. And I just think that the ground here is just too cool to grow them sufficiently, and that's part of what the problem is. So in the future, we'll be growing those in containers, and that's going to free up a lot of space in the garden for our more staple items like corn and potatoes and squash and stuff like that. The squash seemed to do fine, although I got mine out pretty late after the hailstorm this year. So I'm not real sure I'm going to get a huge harvest off of my squash. I do have pumpkins set now, and I'm I'm still having some trouble out of the white pumpkins setting any fruit. They seem to just keep dying off, and I am going in and pollinating them myself with the male flower and the female flower. But I don't know. I don't think white pumpkins are quite as hardy as the orange ones seem to be. And the Tahitian squash, which is along the edge of the corn over here, also not setting any fruit, even though the vines, as you can see, are just enormous. If you can see them, it's pretty dark at this point. And the corn is just getting really tall at this point too. It's almost shoulder height for me, so looking pretty good. And all of the container garden stuff over here, as you can see, the cantaloupes, cucumbers, all doing better than they are in the main garden. Just spilling over the tops at this point of the trellises. And one of them was just so heavy, this one, that has slid back down the trellis and is still starting to spill out all over the ground. So I'm going to have to fix that one in the morning when I can see. And this is, I wanted to show my grandson's. This is actually my grandson's little pot, and he has a little solar light in here. It's just the cutest little thing. You can't really see it other than just that it's lit up, but it has little pineapples on it and dragonflies and stuff like that on it, and it's yellow. But this is his pot. He has an eggplant in there and one tomato that I had given him, and his tomato is getting pretty big, and I think it's a tiny Tim, so it's going to be perfect for him. And his eggplant is blooming now. It's just the cutest thing down in there. And I have one over here too. But just the container garden to me seems to be doing a lot better as far as the melons, cantaloupes, cucumbers, stuff like that goes. The vining plants other than the squash. I did attempt 2 of the red curry squash in these planters, but they are not doing very well, so I won't be doing that again with the squash. You can see that here. They're starting to get runners, but I'm not real sure they're going to do a whole lot. And the clematis that I had planted at the beginning of spring, I don't think it's going to bloom this year, but it did get a lot bigger. But I'm definitely think it'll do something next year. And here is the sunflower that bloomed today. And it is going to be a multi-head sunflower. It's got 3 heads on it so far. And it is just beautiful, perfect little head for a sunflower. I'm not really sure of the variety, but this came out of some bird seed that my daughter had. So it's probably a black oil sunflower, but I'm not quite sure because it does have multiple heads, so it may not be. So it's the cutest thing, and we've got loads and loads of other sunflowers that I do know what they are. Mammoth sunflowers and Chianti sunflowers and Autumn Beauty and a few others that we've got growing. And all the tomatoes looking great. Strawberries are actually giving more strawberries again, so they're starting to bloom again. So everything's doing really well out here in the garden. I just don't like the Tahitian squash that got in so late. Just don't seem to be doing anything, and I don't know if they're going to have enough time to actually set fruit and have it come to maturity. And not sure about the acorn squash because they're so big now that they have shaded out everything, and I haven't looked down in there to see if they've got fruit setting. And as you can see, the corn did get a lot taller. These were at the height of the corn, and now they're not. The corn's getting a lot bigger. So anyway, that's the beauty of the garden at night. You can see all of the little lights and things, and it gets kind of dark in this area. But we do have, as you can see, those little solar lights right there. And we do have more solar lights, as you can see, out in the front section of the house. And we've got some cute little lights here that I have on they're like grapes. They're like bunches of grapes, and I'd found them on clearance. And they are solar, but they are only like 3 lumen or something. They're really, really light. But I have 2 of those. And they're kind of getting swallowed up by the jack-o'-lantern at this point. And I'm not sure if you can see it down in here because it is really, really dark. But we do have a nice big pumpkin. Right there it is. That is growing. It's about basketball size now. And I'm really happy with that. If we only get one, more the merrier. But if we only get the one, we're happy with that too, because it was just a jack-o'-lantern for my grandson. And all the little lights out through that section all the way to the gate. Anyway, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see notices on new videos as they come out. And we shall see you in the next video.